October 20th, page 778. Nearly 50,000 people at Baba's darshan that day. Fireworks decorated the sky, and their echoes seemed to reflect the bursting of each lover's heart. Bauji writes, Meherabad looked more joyful than heaven, and the angels wept in envy, for in heaven the river of love does not flow. Oh my! Can you picture Meherabad with fireworks? 50,000 people. Almost more people than come now. There's more people that came before.
That means that heaven has love, but the flowing is not.
Ah, exactly.
The river of love
does not flow in
so
heaven.
There is heaven has
Love.
But the flow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's interesting.
Baba then retired inside the table cabin near the Duni, but people continued to stream into Meherabad, sleeping overnight inside the bar. No sooner did Baba come out of the table cabin early the next morning than the crowd rushed before him, beseeching him for darshan. For nearly 6 hours without taking a break, Baba continued giving darshan the next day. A booklet entitled The Company of Saints, written by one of the teachers, Goma Ganesh, was given to all. This was the first booklet in Marathi language published about Meher Baba. Baba's father and brothers, Baram, Adi Jr., and Jamshed, had also come for the birthday celebration, but left soon after it was over. From February 19th, Baba began taking his seat in the box-like cabin in the Sai Darbar every day, and all public functions were now held there. A week later, on February 25th, a play called Shah Shivaji was staged. Directed by Chandji, it was performed very well by the mandali. Sai Darbar was turned into a theater with a stage and band. Bob, sometimes when we go to India, we should ask about Sai Darbar, because it's like the Hostel A now you have, but they had a huge building built. I don't know if it was at I think it was at Lower Meherabad. It was built, but then it was dissolved. It didn't stand, but it was built for certain functions.
Yeah.
Baba's old friend Baramji, although virtually uneducated, was in the habit of speaking to others in legal terms. He would refer to civil laws and different rules on the slightest pretext, often arguing his view as if he were presenting a case before a jury. Baba nicknamed him Barrister, which all the other men thought was quite appropriate. After his birthday celebration, Baba sent Jamshed and his wife Khorshid to stay for a few days with his maternal aunt Daula and her husband Faridun at their house in the village of Lani. And there's a footnote on these relatives. Mani was then staying with Daula and Faridun when her brother Jamshed suffered a heart attack. So her brother Jamshed suffered a heart attack.
Baba's brother.
No, Mani. Mani had a brother named Jamshed too.
But Baba's brother too.
He had a brother too, yeah. On the way, they had paid their respects to Babajan in Pune when they were on their way to Lani. At midnight on February 26th, Jamshed suddenly felt a pain in his chest. Without disclosing how ill he felt, he bowed to his foster parents and said, "Forgive me for any sins I have committed against you." Then he added, "Never forget that Baba is God." He fervently urged Khorshid, never leave Baba under any circumstances. He then went to bed. Just before dawn on the 27th of February, Jamshed succumbed to a heart attack and with his last breath called out loudly, "Baba, Baba, Baba." Mother Shireen was informed, and she sent a taxi to bring his body to Pune. Jamshed was only 33 years old. That was Baba's brother. Jamshed, yeah.
Wow, so young.
33, yeah, Jamshed. 33, Baba's brother died, heart attack. That is young for a heart attack.
Yeah.
Shuriar sent a telegram informing Baba of his brother's death. It was received in the afternoon while Baba was playing cricket with the schoolboys. He gathered the mandali and had the telegram read aloud. The men were shocked and felt very upset about Jamshed's sudden death. But Baba looked unaffected and remarked, I often told Jamshed not to leave Meherabad, but he persisted, and now he has really left. Baba then asked the mandali, do you feel badly about his death? Jamshed had been a constant visitor to the mandali, and being Baba's elder brother was considered a favorite. To their affirmative reply, Baba poignantly remarked, all this grief is false. It is meaningless. It is hypocrisy. It is not genuine at all and is selfish. One of the mandali said, but from the worldly point of view, everyone feels sorry when someone dies. But why? Asked Baba. That is where the mistake he made. Death is false. Someone said, but he was your brother. Is he not dead? He was indeed my brother, but he is not dead. On the contrary, he is at peace, resting within me. Hence, I don't feel sad at all over his death. Another mandali asked, but how are we worldly people to know and appreciate this fact? You can know, but only by trusting, having deep faith in believing those who know the secrets of life and death, replied Baba. Because of Jamshed's demise, Meher Baba explained about death and dying. All say that by submitting to death, my brother Jamshed has left this world, and that is quite true. But all this hustle and bustle and noise of the world is momentary, and when the show is over, one has to depart. Believe me, Jamshed is not dead. His body has died. Everyone thinks he is dead, but I say he has taken birth. The joy expressed by people at the birth of a child should be expressed when the person breathes his last, instead of all the show of sorrow, grief, and sympathy. This is a sheer ignorance, and those who understand the secret of birth and death feel sorry at this hypocritical pretense. If you had divine sight, you would be fully convinced to see for yourself that after the dropping of the physical body, the soul, which is always immortal, is always there, and that death does not make the slightest difference in this as you believe. Everyone is feeling that Jamshed left this world in the prime of life, but one has to go sooner or later, and no wonder, but God knows the exact right moment. How can you say he was young? He was thousands of years old, and God knows how many births he will take on this earth. Whatever you saw before your eyes was only the gross form of Jamshed, and its absence makes you weep with sorrow for him. If you wish me to be a partner in your dense ignorance, forget it. Death is common to all. It is a necessary step forward toward real life, eternal, infinite existence. The soul merely changes into a new abode. Thus, dying is nothing more than changing your coat. Jamshed has changed it after experiencing life in it on this plane. It is like an actor who plays different parts in different dramas, or changes costumes in the same play behind the curtain and then reappears on stage in a different garb, or it can be compared with sleep. The difference between death and sleep is that after the former state, one awakens in a new body, while in the latter state, one becomes conscious of the same body. Worldly-minded people do not become upset when a person goes to sleep at night, simply because they expect to see him awake and alive the next morning. Then why not exercise the same indifference when he sleeps the sleep of death, since he is bound to awaken alive sooner or later in a new body? You at times travel in a train, and other passengers without a care in the world depart at different stations such as Lonavala, Kalyan, and Dadar, all according to their tickets. In the same way, Jamshed was traveling, and when he reached his destination, according to his ticket, he departed from the train, left his body. His station was nearby, but according to you, he has passed away in his youth. The trains go on running day and night, and numberless passengers travel in them and depart at different stations according to their tickets. How many are you going to weep over? Thus it is in the selfishness of not being able to satisfy their minds, in the absence of the sight of their dear ones, that makes people weep and wail, and not so much the death itself. After the death of a person, a hue and cry is raised from all sides. My beloved father or mother is dead. The source of my life is gone. The light of my eye is dimmed. Where is my sweetheart? My support has disappeared. Such exclamations are heard in the house of death. But in spite of great display of grief and pain, my and me remain uppermost rather than consideration for the welfare of the one who has passed away. The sword of death has been swinging freely since the beginning of man's history. Every day I see hundreds and thousands of my brothers dying without feeling anything for it. And Jamshed's death is no exception to this. All admit that death is unavoidable, the unavoidable end. And though the fact is universally acknowledged and experienced, at the time of its happening, people immediately start crying. It is either madness or weakness of the mind. Nothing lasts. Everything is indefinite in this world except the Jiva Atma, or the individual soul, who is subject to births and deaths. Even perfect masters and avatars leave this world when their duty is over. So what to say of ordinary souls? This come-and-go game, the alternating experiences of life and gathering and spending of sanskaras, is really quite difficult to understand. Most people generally do not believe in the principle of karma and are firmly convinced that there is no other body. The very thought of reincarnation of another body makes them shudder and shake. They say that once one is dead, he is dead, and there is no rebirth in the same way that dry wood does not turn green again. It will not be a pleasant surprise if Jamshed is really dead, but he is not. It will be a pleasant surprise if Jamshed is really dead, but he is not. If he were really dead, all should rejoice over it, since it would mean real life for him, eternal, infinite existence. Unless we really die, meaning our ego is annihilated, we cannot realize divinity. So all this experiencing of sorrow and regret is bunk. Although you find me moving about among you, playing with you, and in fact doing all that a supposedly living man does, I am really dead. I am truly really dead, although I seem alive and active to you. If you die once, truly, there will be no more life and death for you, since you become one with God. Because I am dead, I am alive. As Kabir says, these are the words of Kabir: die such a death that you will not have to die again. Die, all of you, in the real sense of the word, so that you may live ever after. The stopping of breath and the absence of pulse are not real dying. It is no use letting your earthly body die. All your desires and longings should die. That is, seek out death of Maya first and become sanskaraless. Then alone you will have died the real death and have been born into eternity. An earthly being who realizes God can be said to have earned real birth. All the wise ones, holy ones, Sufis, saints, pirs, and prophets, by surrendering every worldly thing to God, have reached the goal, union with God. So do such acts that will earn you freedom from the reoccurring rounds of births and deaths. When you understand this, what is the use of sorrow and weeping? If you have love for the dead, it should be selfless. The dead do not want your expressions of sadness. Manifest such love for them that they would be pleased and at peace. If you want the consciousness of their souls to progress, express selfless love. Do not make them unhappy by your weeping and wailings. Jamshed was my brother, but I am Jamshed, the master of death. That's Jamshet. This Jam, two words, Jam, Jam, and Shiet, Shet, Jamshed, the master of death. The same death has brought Jamshed to his master. Jamshed is near Jamshed, the master of death. So give up this worthless conduct and be absorbed in your duties. Do not have the idea that because Jamshed is dead, the world is dead. He who is convinced that after death there is birth, again, never worries or sorrows. What is the use of sorrowing over dried up crops in the field? By dying after death and thereby annihilating the mind, you will gain both worlds. Otherwise, it is a never-ending cycle of taking birth and dying. There is no escape. It is a matter of luck, fate. What can we do when our last day dawns? It is not in our hands, so what can be done? We all have to go one day. So what is the sense of weeping? One can do nothing except submit to God's will. And Bauji says, everyone says, I am dying, but none of them die. Only he who is dead before dying has not to die again. So why don't we finish?
Beautiful. I think that some of Iranian literature people, beautiful place was that.
You want to hear more, or you finished?
We'd love to hear more.
Was it getting too late?
Amanda, I have to go. But if you want to listen, that's fine.
Well, why don't we finish here, because we were here long. You got good. You have a good
Beautiful
taste.
party. Yeah.
Okay. Jai Baba, thank you. Thank you. We'll see you next Monday.
Yes.
Yeah, and next Monday and this Friday. Huh?
So, anyway, it's the October 27th, 1997. We're at the Avatar Meherabad Center, Southern California, where the Lord Meher Night, the biography of the Avatar of the Age, Meher Baba, Volume 3, covers the years 1925 to 1929. We're on page 783, and with us are Adele, Bobby Dearborn, Gigi, Kathy, Debbie, Rocky, Marinouche, and Mark. Mark is going to India on Saturday.
And it's Freddie's birthday.
Yeah. And we got this great Sony tape recorder, which is rolling. Anyway, it begins with one of the men wanted to know from Baba what the simplest and easiest way to emancipation in immortality. Meher Baba replied, "The easiest way to immortality is contact with a spiritual master, and the simplest requirement is intense longing for realizing God. For this, persistent effort is needed. All other paths are quite long and full of difficulties. Service is said to be the highest religion, yet hundreds of thousands of births and deaths do not bring you any nearer to salvation. Therefore, the simplest and easiest way is to keep the company of saints and the contact of a perfect master. Any service rendered under their orders gives you inner freedom, after which there is nothing further to be gained. Unless you have that deep feeling for God realization, such tasks appear to be quite impossible and most difficult. But once you have that eager longing, despite all your weaknesses, this enormous and impossible task will become possible. Any small vessel attached to a big steamer will go miles with it in the storm or stress. If that small vessel were to sail alone, it would take years to reach the goal." It's almost like what the twins said to me about letting Baba be the driver. Not only that, but it might be caught in the storm of rough seas and actually sink. In the same way, the worldly-minded ignorantly want to bring about changes in the world affairs and direct their activities accordingly. It would be like trying to sail the 7 seas in a small vessel in very stormy weather, facing the imminent danger of being swept away. Only the masters of truth can make you cross over to the other side. Their help is the greatest boon for small crafts to quickly reach the goal. For this reason, to stop the universe from going astray and to put it on the right path, the masters take birth on this planet. They teach you and guide you, and it is for you to cooperate with them. Now,
who is saying all this?
Baba is saying this to
this is Baba.
his mandali. This
And
is
in 1925, 1920, around then,
this is 19.
he's still talking of
This is
masters
this
because
is 1927.
he has not announced
1927.
that he is Avatar yet. As Avatar,
1927.
as Avatar, he's
Jai Baba.
Hey,
Baba!
Birthday.
Jai Baba.
How you doing?
Immortality has been dropped down.
I say, as Avatar, Baba speaks differently. He doesn't, like say that much about
Yeah,
it.
you want to show that around at Shireen.
Yeah, this is Baba's mother.
Mortality as a master.
That's Baba's mother.
Shireen. No, the reason I mention that is that what was just said there about their help is the greatest boon. I mean, the stress, of course, when Baba announces he is Avatar, that's who you think of. You don't think of the help of the perfect masters at that point. Anyway, after these discourses, the mandali felt much relieved and realized that there was no cause for grief over Jamshed. Oh, this is his brother Jamshed died.
He had died? What from?
Yeah. Since he was not really dead. You remember?
Oh, yeah.
He got
There's a
sick.
part there, Baba says, you know, why do you cry? He's much closer to me. Baba called for sweet ladus to be distributed to everyone. Baba then sent ladus. You know what
Does anyone
ladus?
know if anyone's in the center tomorrow? I know Lynn's here Wednesday.
There's a schedule up
Eric
there.
and Monica.
I never have been given the keys.
What did Jeff ask?
Is anybody going to be here tomorrow?
Oh, Wednesday. Oh,
No, Tuesday.
I come Friday, don't I?
Yeah.
Okay. Baba then sent certain close ones. His brother Jal, Uncle Masaji, cousin Pendu, and old friend Bairamji. This is another Bairamji because Baba's brother is also Bairamji. In a car to Pune to be present at Jamshed's last rites. After they left, Baba went on his usual rounds of inspection. There was a tea party later in the day, and tennis was played in Sai Darbar. Jal and Pendu returned to Meherabad late that same night, after attending Jamshed's last rites, held at the Parsi Tower of Silence, according to Zoroastrian custom. Uncle Masaji stayed in Pune to be present at the other funeral ceremonies. Mother, did anyone ever visit the Tower of Silence?
I've went by the Tower of Silence. I've never been to the Tower of Silence, but I've been hi.
Oh, Jay Baba.
Shiva.
Hi.
What a nice business.
Oh, what did they want to do?
The mansion, they wanted to try and get
Is
cable.
someone working tonight, Jeff? Because I'm going to feed the fish.
What are they trying to
but I
do?
haven't
No, I
done-
paid the fish.
They're trying to
someone-
get cable television, and I guess their electrical line used to run out of that box back there, and they're wondering if the cable guy could run a cable from there. I don't really understand what they're talking about.
I mean, if anybody, I was going to just say that the fish are not been fed, that's all. Unless you feed them.
We can make this
No, I
circle.
already fed it. You want someone tomorrow? I mean, has to be at the same time.
No, they said the cable guy is going to come tomorrow. They're going to talk to him about it, and then if he thinks they can do it through here, then they'll maybe ask him to come back on Wednesday when Lynn's here.
There's all kind of goodies.
Is this hooked
In the
up for
kitchen.
cable over here?
There's goodies, there's
that's a whole
cookies,
separate
there's birthday
thing.
cake. Bobby made a carrot cake.
It's his birthday, you know.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, Mother Shireen came to Meherabad a few days later. She was disturbed, for she had found it shocking when she heard that Baba had distributed sweets to all when Jamshed died.
Who was mad? Mother?
Mother.
Oh, she was mad.
She was mad.
She was shocked. She didn't say it was shocked. In a critical tone, she said, Meherab, did you have to distribute sweets when your brother died? Do you know how disrespectful it looks and what some people in Pune are saying about you, Meherab? Your brother died, and you distribute ladus. Oh, exclamation point.
What is it? Does anybody know what ladu is?
What?
Ladu is a milk.
No, they're.
It's a
I think
pastry
they're
kind.
just very good sweets.
Oh, it's a pastry.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's,
Now
I
there
think
is a
it's made out of
footnote.
cheese,
If you
know,
don't
sort of
mind, I'll
cheese.
read the footnote about that. Oh, let me read it.
India.
Meherab. I mean, everybody knows that's the name she called Baba, right? Meherab.
Mero.
What?
Mero.
Oh, Mer.
Merog.
Maro.
Yeah.
Oh,
Maro, huh? Mari said
MEROG.
that, yeah.
what?
Meherabad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
785. Okay, I'll just do this real quick.
What's the footnote?
Okay, so, this is page 785.
Sometimes they don't have a footnote, even though
apparently they...
sometimes there's an asterisk, but they don't list it, I noticed.
Okay.
Could go
I
on.
don't see it. But anyway. A short time after Jamshed's death, his wife, Khurshid, began staying with the women mandali at Meherabad. This is not the Khurshid we know.
Oh, it isn't?
This is another Khurshid.
Oh.
There was a little Khurshid and a big Khurshid.
Oh, I see.
She had lost both her parents, and her maternal aunt was trying to persuade her to marry again. Baba intervened and gave her shelter in the ashram. She and Jamshed had no children, except a baby boy who had died at birth. I just read this last of it. After Jamshed's funeral, things returned to normal at Meherabad. And on March the 4th, Baba made these candid remarks. Animals have instinct, and humans have intellect. But those drawn to me are drawn by inspiration. They smell the fragrance of my taffy shop, my love, and are attracted to it. If you snap your connection with the world, you become free of all worries. However, if you maintain any deep connection, worries will surmount you. Bindings are like hair. The more you allow the hair to grow, the more you have to clean it, oil it, and comb it. Similarly, worldly involvements are always full of unnecessary problems and difficulties, and are the cause of continuous anxieties. Jeff?
Worldly what was that? Worldly affairs?
Worldly involvements are always full of unnecessary
But how do you live without
problems.
worldly involvement?
Can you do this again? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Freddie. Happy birthday to you.
अवतार में बाबा की जय, अवतार में बाबा की जय, अवतार में बाबा की जय.
He has to blow
So
it.
Baba is the engine.
Yes.
And we're carrying in this cart.
So
Remember,
it's stinking garbage.
one has gold, one has silver,
Yes.
one has shit,
Yes.
one has copper.
No, we left the one with the shit at home.
Wait,
that.
and make a wish with the. This is represents the Cleveland Indians
She's
next
home helping
year.
Danny with his homework and stuff.
Oh,
This is for the
sweet.
Cleveland Indians next year.
The Cleveland Indian. Oh my God, this is double, triple birthday cakes. This is wonderful. Wow, thank you very much. Thank you.
Eternal,
Thank you,
eternal
Danny,
birthday.
Jalyn.
So Fred, does that
is
mean you're
beautiful.
60?
No, he's gonna make it.
Oh, here's 70.
Yes. Anyway, Baba, this is wonderful. And
Yeah, should have been 7, right?
No, I guess so. I don't know.
That is.
Okay.
Just, I think.
Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
The birthday one.
Wow.
Oh, and
And now,
come next?
This is wonderful. Oh, Jai.
Freddie, who will come next on the
This is hilarious.
I know of at least 3 more people who are coming.
Everyone must have it. Everyone must taste at least a little bit. It's like prasad, you know. Prasad.
Prasad from Fred.
Oh God. Wow. Oh yeah, hold it. Mark has a quick announcement.
Last night they saw us on freeway, me and Gus was driving, and I saw somebody behind us below the horn on the freeway, back like I thought. I said, who was? No, they thought they were them.
Last night we were coming back from Meherabad. We were on our way back from Meherabad.
really?
And we were coming down the freeway.
what was this?
They went to
And there was
Meherabad.
Gus. and khaki.
Wow.
So they should go and be happy, they will power love.
Oh, wow. Did you guys have a nice trip up there?
Very nice.
Pam and Christina and I went
Have you
yesterday.
been there before?
Yeah, I have. It was Christina's first time.
Oh, did she love it?
Yeah, she loved it.
So you guys
did you go today?
basically agree that you want to have that thing then, huh?
But yeah, we were trying to come up with a work project.
Ah,
Do
that's
like
wonderful.
Finish planting the orchard or something.
Wow.
So we can raise the money and
I'll
and
tell
do
you.
that, do
Isn't
something
it,
like
isn't it
that.
beautiful though? Place?
You know what? You can see Catalina
Oh, that's right.
from up there.
With
the
with
clearest I've
the
ever
yeah
seen
with
it
the
in
with the
Meherabad.
Santa Ana conditions. Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
right.
you can actually see all the Channel Islands. You can see all the way to
Wow.
Catalina. You see the ocean, everything. It's beautiful.
It's just feeling kind of wiped out, but Danny's got a ton of homework.
Gorgeous
so
up
she's
there.
helping him with that. One of us was.
Wow, what an evening! It started with Debbie bringing the ocean. I mean the boat story card.
Yeah.
Debbie brings this card tonight as a birthday card, you know, and look at it's got the boat and it describes in there how Mara would love the stories I would tell.
Yeah.
One of them was the boat story.
Oh, yeah.
So I'll always
Except you should
treasure
have a
this.
little rope with Fred being pulled.
True, that's special. Oh, here's more cards and oh, this is wonderful.
There's Jeff's as well over here.
Oh yeah, well, oh, gonna save these.
Yeah, there you go.
Here's one more.
Oh my,
Will they ever end?
jeez. Yeah, this is a birthday party.
Well, that's how we
We'll
can.
bring
I
some
thought it was
rain.
going to be Lord Mayor night. It's
I got
a
a little thing here.
it's a birthday.
Gigi had told me, she says, you know, for Fred's Lord Mayor, and I feel like a little birthday celebration. So I'm not here for the, you know.
Oh, Bobby, that's so
spirituality.
sweet of you too. Yeah, I know, because Gigi talked to Bobby Dearborn yesterday, and I was saying, why is he talking to Bobby Dearborn? And Rocky, what's Rocky doing? Hey, what is it? Oh
my God, here's the milk.
Hey,
Rocky,
Happy
Strangest cake I've ever seen.
that's for the garden.
Yeah, that's for the garden.
That's cactuses.
You know,
It's for the center from Charmaine,
oh, that's good.
from
Well, I
up north.
I forgot it was your birthday, and I apologize.
Oh,
But
Adele.
I want you to pick out a bottle
Oh,
to put
From cirrhosis.
take one of each.
oh,
That's
boy.
all that's
Ferocious
left.
garden
I
in
think
India?
all the visitors took
How'd
those.
you get it through
Pick
customs?
the one you
I
like,
love this one.
and then one of those Fred.
Anybody else want some cake?
I think this is a
Look
mirror.
at dude.
Look at the back of Marinouche's jacket. She's,
Public health.
she's quarantining that plant right now.
You know, she was on television last week.
Who?
Mayor Noosh had a Channel 4 or Eyewitness News team come down to an area that they were investigating for health violations as far as
Did she
hygiene.
get a sound
Good
bite?
for
I don't
her.
know, but they said that they had the camera crew down there.
Well, she has a name. Roach Ghostbuster.
good. Yeah.
Roach Coaches.
Heidi, did you arrange this?
Who, me?
I know. I was saying to myself, my oh my, what a turnout. Lord Mayor usually has 3 or 2 people. You know, it's myself and Kathy and maybe Sam. Sam's not here tonight. You know, fella that always
Suhas.
Suhas doesn't come. No, I asked Suhas, I said, we have Lord Mayor on Monday. He says, I've already read volume 3. I said, all right.
I lost my place.
Oh, I'll make the quick
No, it's right here.
Oh, 285,
No. It's way back.
820. There was
No,
a
760.
Let
Okay,
them
well,
read
just
a little
about a
bit, too,
sentence
'cause he's
left,
gonna leave
that's
pretty
all.
soon.
Who?
Jack has to.
Oh, yeah, okay.
one sentence on the, and you should pass it on.
It's right here.
Yeah. This footnote I finally found does pertain to that. Wait, that was, yeah, that was an interesting footnote finally. All right. Shireen always referred to her son as Meherabad. Is that right? Pronunciation? What Baba meant was that if Shireen could have seen the bliss Jamshed was enjoying when he was freed from his body, she would have distributed a delicious treat. We just got through reading that Shireen was shocked that when Jamshed died, Baba distributed a lot of sweets. He rejoiced, and she said everyone would be very critical of that in Pune if they knew about it. So Bob explains what he did. All right. After Jamshed's funeral, things returned to normal at Meherabad. And on March 4th, Baba made these candid remarks. Oh, I already read that.
Okay, Jeff.
That's okay.
Yes. Do you want to read that again, Jeff?
No. Jeff should pick up where you left off.
No, well, let him reread that, because
Okay.
he didn't hear all of it. It's really beautiful. Those are Baba's words.
Animals have instinct and humans have intellect, but those drawn to me are drawn by inspiration. They smell the fragrance of my taffy shop, my love, and are attracted to it. If you snap your connection with the world, you become free of all worries. However, if you maintain any deep connection, worries will surmount you. Bindings are like hair. The more you allow the hair to grow, the more you have to clean it, oil it, and comb it. Similarly, worldly involvements are always full of unnecessary problems and difficulties and are the cause of continuous anxieties. On March 21st, a holiday was declared, celebrating the Parsi and Irani festival of Jamshed-e-Navroz. Baba distributed sweets at 6 in the morning as prasad. It's very new here. It'd be interesting to find out what that festival was about. Seated in the cabin in Sai Darbar, the women mandali went first for Baba's darshan, followed by the men. A photograph was taken of Baba with the mandali and then another with all who had come. Later in the afternoon, a singer named Piyaru sang qawwali music for 3 hours until 6:30. During this period, in addition to the circle committee, a school committee was established, the majority of the members being the students themselves. Proposals for improving the school were regularly forwarded from the committee to the circle committee for review. At Shahani's house on March 25th, Mayor Baba gave the following discourse on intelligence, the use of knowledge by the mind in the state of thinking. Intelligence, not thinking, is unconsciousness. Okay, so intelligence, not thinking, is unconsciousness and may be likened to sound sleep. Thinking and imagination are latent in intelligence. When intelligence thinks of itself, it realizes itself and is God. When it thinks about imagination, it is the world, mind, body, and ignorance. For example, take a gramophone record. When it is not being played, it is in a state similar to sound sleep, as is unconscious intelligence. But when the phonograph needle is put on the record, it starts to play. This is like the thinking of imagination that is latent in intelligence and becomes manifest while the mind is thinking. Take as another example an ocean to represent intelligence, which is calm water at first, but when the wind blows, the desire of intelligence to know itself, there is movement in the still waters. Intelligence begins to think, forming numerous waves, and the result is an uncountable number of bubbles. When intelligence starts thinking, it creates waves, universes. These universes, in turn, form bubbles, different worlds. I'll just finish this one thing. Baba then put some water in a big bucket and turned a glass upside down in it. He continued, although the same water is in the glass as in the bucket, its quantity is limited. Similarly, the ocean is in the bubble. Intelligence is in imagination, but limited. And I'll let somebody else start. What was I going to do? I thought of one thing I was going to say. Oh, when he was talking about the qawwali music, Rustam and Sora were talking, and I've heard Money tell the same story that that there was a pair of qawwali singers came one time to entertain Baba and put on a program. And as they sang, and they weren't, well, as Rustam and Sora, I don't think I've ever heard those guys be critical of somebody. So they didn't say they weren't any good, but they said that it wasn't really the kind that Baba fancied or something. And Baba would go to them like very good, and then he'd go to them sitting behind him, Rustam and Sora and Money, like not so great, so that these guys couldn't see it, and all they were seeing was the very good, but then to them he was going like
This is the same one, but Mani used to go Baba is still like this, and then there's a Farsi gesture.
Yeah, like it
Maybe
means
yes.
yes, yeah. So you go
So,
right.
so he's doing it in front of them, but nobody knows.
Oh,
They don't
no.
even look at them.
They made it sound as if they couldn't. All they could see was this.
Yeah, but
and
Mr. Bubble
then
brings his hand
so he'd
down.
go like this, and then to them he'd go like yuck or whatever. Yeah, which is funny. Want to read?
Oh, only
That's-
Baba
that's
gets
where I
away with that.
You learn from Baba sometimes, you know.
So much humor.
Well, one other thing that I think that the reason that they told that story was that I remembered Pendu telling me a story that Minta Delian, who was Delia's sister, whom I guess, I don't know when she passed away, but none of us knew her. But she apparently, when they were in Cannes, she kept, every night she would like squeeze in so she would sit next to Baba, and I guess she kind of, talked incessantly all through dinners and stuff. And so Baba told Pendu, make sure that woman doesn't sit next to me anymore. So it's interesting that as God he could love her, but as man he was tired of hearing her yak forever.
But he wasn't direct, he just wasn't direct.
Well, he never would say anything to hurt her feelings, but he had Pendu do the dirty work.
She was very sensitive, and
Yeah.
she, I guess she was jealous, to put it quite simply. I've heard that.
Okay, I'll continue here. When a few outside visitors came in the evening, Baba explained to them, "The whole world is enmeshed in the grip of lust for women and wealth, while the real aim of life is to achieve the truth. Unless God is realized, the purpose of acquiring a human body is frustrated, and the real object of life remains unfulfilled. But realization is impossible until intelligence is purified and freed of imagination. This can only be achieved by keeping the company of saints. For this reason, intimate contact with the Master is always necessary for realization. But such perfect ones are very, very rare, while the world abounds with numerous hypocrites and frauds who pose as divine guides. How can one who has not had the experience of truth guide others towards it?" After fasting for several days, Baba ate a little food at 11:30 on March 26th. 2 days later, a debating society for the students was formed, and a reorganization of the members of the Circle Committee occurred. For 4 months, from November 11th, 1925 to March 28th, 1926, Baba's seat during the night had been inside the table cabin. But from March 29th, Baba began staying in the box-like cabin inside Darbur. He continued writing his book there and would leave only at noon for his daily round of inspection. Although Baba did not reveal what he was writing in his book, he would on occasion make spontaneous remarks regarding spirituality or esoteric points. On March 30th, during one of his inspection tours, he revealed to the mandali, "Sanskaras assume different colors according to the language one uses when describing a subject. For instance, 3 brothers once saw their mother. One called her mother, another addressed her as wife of my father, and the third said, 'Woman, you are my father's mistress.' What all 3 meant was the word mother, but their ways of expressing it were different. And so one's choice of words brings about different color sanskaras and different reactions."
That's very interesting for a writer to read that, isn't that? I mean, the choice of words.
Color.
So important.
Later during the same day, while explaining about the beginning of creation, Baba remarked, "Creation came out of nothing, and though it is nothing, it is something, but ultimately there is everything. When one says that it is nothing, the nothingness of this nothing has being." Anyone need that repeated?
It wouldn't do me any good.
Yeah, it wouldn't help me. During this period,
Fred will
Gulab...
explain it to us later.
Yeah. During this period, Gulab Shah was troubled by doubts about Baba's divinity. When Baba found out about this, he sent for Gulab and corrected him. "It is not right for you to stay with me when you doubt me," Baba then asked. "Do you believe in the divinity of Qutb Khwaja Sahib Chishti of Ajmer?" Gulab replied that he did. Baba directed him to go to Khwaja Sahib's shrine at Ajmer and give him funds for traveling, declaring, "There you will come to know who I really am." So Gulab Shah left, but being separated from Baba while in Ajmer, he could think of no one else. He became dissatisfied with himself at the shrine and was restless to return to Meherabad. Later, when he arrived back, he told Baba, "I now fully believe that you are God. There is no room left in my heart for any doubt." For healthy exercise, the school children were being taught marching drills during this period, but a false rumor spread throughout the villages that this was being done in order to enlist them in the army. On April 3rd, the frightened Mahar parents came to take their children home. Although the matter was explained to them, their doubts persisted. Baba inquired, "After all this time, how can you think such things? Everything here is being done for your children's benefit. I provide everything freely, education, food, clothes, and still you have doubts." Mm-hmm. Baba, therefore, sent away the 44 outcast Mahar children, allowing the 40 higher caste Maratha children to remain. In the evening, the Mahar parents again came to Baba and beseeched him to forgive them for doubting him. Baba agreed to forgive on 2 conditions. First, they should give in writing that they would freely allow their children to stay with him. And second, because of their distrust, they should fast for 3 days. They consented, and their children were taken back into the school. The poverty of the Mahars and their hygienic conditions were terrible. Aware of their plight, Baba showed special care toward the outcast children in the school, so much so that those who had to return home every day after classes were given freshly boiled water in bottles. This prevented the danger of their drinking impure water at home and spoiling their health. 3 days passed, and Baba walked to Arangaon and personally accompanied the villagers who had been fasting to Meherabad, where they were fed to their full satisfaction. The next day, they were given tea in the afternoon, and in the evening, all the Mahars were invited to a generous feast.
It's wonderful how Baba deals firmly with discipline when necessary, It isn't just forget it, what you did. He gives them something to think about, and then the contrition, the regret, yes, and then things are all right again. That's a true balance
But also, I think
of
he
the
was
master.
working on different levels
Yeah,
of consciousness that
Exactly.
the rational mind may think he's just giving somebody, a chance to repent and so forth. He was also doing other work through those actions
well, of course.
of fasting and so forth and everything else. Anyway.
Several days passed without a disturbing incident. In a good mood, on April 20th, Baba composed his poetic riddle and challenged the mandali to guess the answer. It is a star with 2 mouths, a star like Cheyenne. There is air above, all good below. He is exceptional. He killed himself. Whose beloved is he? He who explains the meaning of this will be like Alexander and Dara. And there's a star here.
Who is Alexander and Dara?
Isn't he
Alexander the Great.
Alexander
His
the
wife
Great?
was Roxanne. No, his wife was Roxanne, unless he had another one.
Well, Dara is a male name, so I wonder if there were 2.
Dara was a Persian king and conqueror, similar in legendary stature to Alexander the Great of Greece.
Yeah, Alexander the Great.
I see. He was comparing them both in the same light.
What the meaning of freedom was. When it was released, it fully realized its freedom and enjoyed it. Its freedom was taken away, but it was put into a cage simply to make it conscious and give it the knowledge and experience of what freedom was. In the end, it came to know what freedom really meant, and hence know itself. In the same way, our body is like a cage, and our spirit is like the parrot. If I were to tell you that you are Ishwar, Ishwar is the name of God in a state of infinite unconsciousness. Ishwar is the infinite unconsciousness of God. Refer to the book Nothing and Everything. If I were to tell you that you are Ishwar, God, you would not believe it, because your ridiculous idea of God is of some old man with a white beard watching you from an armchair in heaven. You say to yourselves, how can I, as a lonely human being, be God himself? You are afraid of the very idea that you are God. But it is a fact. It is your ignorance of that knowledge, the false impression of the mind that you are men, which prevents you from experiencing that you are God. For example, you can see things when awake, but in sleep you do not see, although you still have eyes. Because you cannot see during sleep, does it mean you do not have eyes? No. The fact that you have eyes remains the same throughout, during wakefulness as well as during sleep. But the difference of seeing during wakefulness and not seeing during sleep is a difference in the state of the mind's functioning. Suppose you have a core 10 million rupees. However, you do not carry all of it in your pocket. That does not mean that you do not own the money and are penniless. So I want you to know that every one of you is God, but you just do not know it.
You know, I was thinking how lucky those people are. Because when Baba says that, boy, you get a real impact of that driving out a lot of bad sanskar. You are God.
Right.
That's it.
Did he say
Now,
that when you were there?
Well, Baba said that. But he said, yeah, he told us, of course, everyone's going to be God realized. I mean, that wipes away a lot of layers of natural kind of negative skepticism, and God knows what we accumulate, you know.
Yeah.
Very lucky to be in the presence when Baba says that.
What was the time, wasn't it at Myrtle Beach, when he said to you that he was forgiving you for all sins?
Even all of us, he told us in the barn. Yes, he did.
In the barn. What exactly was it that he said?
Well, he said, I have forgiven you all for everything up to now, or something like very strong. Yeah, Phyllis has the exact quotation.
Did you feel a weight?
Yeah, and of course
lifted?
you do. Oh, yes, you do. I particularly would feel that because I came to Bob with a lot of guilt.
And that guilt vanished.
What?
The guilt disappeared?
Well, no, I still have guilt.
But now you know you have nothing to feel guilty about.
I told Kathy that I felt guilty about her. I've been very critical of her because she knows I felt guilty about it because and it's true, that happens all the time. That we make quick. I said I have to learn to accept myself and others, and I do that more and more. I'm becoming more of a true lover, artist in that sense. You know, I think a great artist accepts people and themselves as they are. And that doesn't do away with the idealism, does it? No, it doesn't do away with the idealism. But at least you don't use this critical thing so much. So.
On April 30th, a group of Hindu pilgrims passed by Meherabad chanting loudly, Tukaram, Tukaram, Tukaram. They were on pilgrimage to Pandharpur. Hearing their chant, Baba remarked, even if those people were to dance and sing bhajans for 100 years, it would have no value. What is essential is deep devotion, without which all else is worthless. Takaram comes out of their mouths, but he is not in their hearts. Baba, nevertheless, directed the mandali to feed the pilgrims. Without informing Naja, Sailor gave them some of the food cooked for the students, and what remained for the children was later discovered to be insufficient. Baba was furious and called Naja, lashing out at her for her negligence. Naja was quite perplexed and explained that she had cooked the same amount of food that she normally prepared. She could not understand how it was too little. Annoyed, Baba shoved Naja in the presence of others.
Ooh.
Sailor then appeared and explained that it was his fault, that he had given some of the food to the pilgrims. At this, Baba's anger turned on Sailor, and his dictation thundered. Well then, why for God's sakes didn't you tell Naja to cook more food?
For God's
you
sake.
Irani idiot.
You Irani idiot?
Uh-huh.
What did he call?
He called him, you Irani idiot.
Oh my God!
my God.
Baba said
He
that.
said he's called him bloody fool, too.
Oh,
Is there anything to that? Is there anything? You Irani idiot, is there anything?
What's wrong with to be idiot?
But I mean,
I mean, they
I mean, if Baba gives it the name, then idiot.
but Irani, I mean, is
Yeah,
there
it's Divane.
Well, if it was
Divane.
British guy trying to
Polish
say,
You British idiot, you Italian idiot, you.
yeah, you can whatever you want. You English
idiot.
English idiot.
Sailor meekly replied that he was sorry for having forgotten to inform her. Baba ordered the mandali to tie Sailor to a pillar and not give him food or water for 3 days.
Wow.
Gosh.
It appeared to be a dreadful punishment because it was in the middle of summer and scorchingly hot. Accordingly, he was tied up, but Baba himself set him free after an hour or so and comforted him by giving him sweets.
Wow.
He did that so many times. He would
I know
like
it.
give somebody some terrible punishment and then end up saying, okay, that's enough, you know, and then he would always end up, you know.
It sounds like you, Fred.
Isn't that beautiful story of Dr. Ghani? You know that one of Dr. Ghani? Where Baba told him to get out of his sight and he never wanted to see him again.
Oh, yes, he threw his baggage out.
Yeah.
In Monsila meat.
Yeah, and then, you know, Ghani said, you know, I may leave you physically, but I dare you to leave my heart.
It is.
And Baba just totally turned around
God.
and hugged him and made him stay.
I'm glad there's no newcomers here tonight. But who knows? Maybe it was meant to be for them, because you know Baba still relented. He just.
Yeah.
But we don't know his ways.
Apparently, it was a real blessing.
Oh, it was a major blessing to be at all scolded by a godman or
And
a
Duncan, in
master.
his diary in the Awakener, sometimes complains. He says, Baba has not ticked me off, which I think was his way of saying, gotten angry at me.
Yeah.
He says, in quite a while, and he says, and I really miss it. And he was upset that Baba was being somewhat indifferent to him. And it's like Mara's prayer, too. Mara's prayer was, Baba, please don't be indifferent to me.
Ah,
Yeah.
And
Dr.
Katie said,
Duncan.
please don't be indifferent to me.
That was Mara's prayer.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you know, when my first trip to India, Mara, a few days before Baba's birthday, we were leaving the day after Baba's birthday, asked me to come to tea on the eve of Baba's birthday, but there are no teas given on the eve of it, because there's too much preparation going on. And I had very few rupees left, and I was very ill at that point in time, like from exhaustion, saturated, And we'd been practicing songs for the play, so I was exhausted. So with my last rupees, I went in, the eve of Baba's birthday, and everybody's telling me, well, there's no program. Nothing's going on. There's no tea. And I said, but Mara told me to come, so I'm going,
That's good.
And I cried the whole way because I was so exhausted. I mean, I was like, this. So I get there, and I'm there, and everybody else is leaving to go back to, we were staying at Vila, at that time, I guess we were at the Pilgrim Center. So everybody was already going back, whoever was there for whatever reason. So I'm there, and I'm kind of teary and stuff.
And Meru comes up to me and says, well, why are you here? And I said, well, Money told me to come. Money did not tell me that Mera did not tell me that you were to come.
Oh.
So then Meru was really mad at me, and she could really look scary back then. That was 81, it was like, with Meru, And then Gohaver was very kind, and Arch was kind, and he took my scarf and put it in my hat and said, here, take all your troubles, just, put it in your hat and forget about it, but go rest in my room. And he let me rest in his room. So then I was taken to Mera, and Mera was mad at me. Mera had forgotten. And I had felt like I'd had such generosity that I really didn't need to have any more of anything because I'd been given so much, so much love. So I felt even guilty that I was going to get any attention at all, but I was fulfilling my promise, because if it was Baba, I'd keep my promise. Do you know what I mean? It was Mera. Whether she remembered or not wasn't the issue. The issue was that she told me to come. She went, well, I would never have, she wouldn't do it like that. She'd go, well, I would never have asked you to come before, and I don't recall this, and you could have come at any other time, and, well, yes, I do have a tape for you. I mean, she went on, but then I ended up having tea with her, just she and I, and she fed me cookies, and showed me ballet moves that Baba told her, and we talked, but she was very angry with me. It was like, Mera was angry with me, so it was, but she said, you're here, Baba wants you here. But she gave it to me at the beginning, and truly she asked me to come, but she had forgotten.
She had forgotten.
And she forgot to tell anybody. And like Arch and Goher were in on the joke, and Meru was the protector, and it was, but it's something to have somebody like that mad at you. And she gave me presents to take,
Interesting.
So it's, it's
the way she handled it.
And then how I got back. I mean, Michael and I left with $1 in our pocket, left India with, we at that time,
Then we went to Palermo.
And then we came home. You picked us up, right?
We went to Palermo.
And we went to Palermo, so you must have paid. Because we had no money.
$1.
Yeah. So isn't that interesting to have Mera mad at you?
Wow, I never heard anybody.
Yeah.
Was she ever mad at you, Freddie?
What?
I don't recall.
When you tried to kiss her. When you tried to kiss her.
Yes. My first time I saw Mera, unfortunately, I was prompted by Erich in Mandali Hall. I came before Baba's chair, and I just sort of like a Catholic, just genuflected and sort of like, bowed just in a distance. Erich saw me kneeling, and he just took my head and pushed it down onto the chair, onto the sofa. Mm-hmm. And so I said, wow. So everything I saw then, I started bowing down to pictures, to this and that. And so when Mera walked out on the porch, and Mera's out, my first time meeting her, I immediately bowed down to her feet, put my head down at her feet. This is September.
Did you touch her feet with your
head?
head?
No, I didn't touch. I was bowing down at her feet, know. But this is 71, September.
Oh,
and Baba just dropped his about a year and a half before that. And so she said, oh, no, only for beloved Baba, only for beloved Baba. And she started sort of getting very emotional. And Meru, I remember, ran up and grabbed her, and I just didn't want to get up. I go, oh my God, all this commotion's going on.
Oh,
and the next thing I know, Dr. Goher, I feel her healing hand on my, on my head. Oh, that's okay, Fred. We know, you didn't know, and whatever. And she said something like that. Without her coming to my aid at the time, I don't know, I was really just like a basket case, because I said, what have I done? I've come to India, and the most beloved of the God-man. I'm upset.
You upset her.
Yeah, but after that, though, it's funny, we became very, very close, Mera and I, throughout, the...
But you were pure of heart in that.
Oh, no, definitely. I was doing it because Eric's got me to this. You're supposed to bow down.
No, but then
bow down.
You were never told, really, not to do that.
No, I wasn't told
See,
about...
that's different. Now, for example, Aloba, he was told not to touch Baba, and he did, and he got electrified.
Was that the time when he was knocked back?
And then Baba took upon himself vicariously the injury. Remember, Baba's hand was in a sling or something. Yeah, Baba suffered because he was told not to. You never were told.
No,
It's different. It wasn't
I was totally
disobedience,
naive
it was
and
just ignorant.
just
One of the twins, I forget whether it was Sohrab or Rustam. I
Yeah,
couldn't tell.
with Aloba, remember?
No, I was going to say one of them was apparently walking behind, Sohrab or Rustam was walking behind Mara, and she slipped, and they reached out and caught her and said her, touched her. And I forget whether it was Sohrab or Rustam, but he said that at the moment that he did it, he said he just felt his whole body go, oh my God, I've touched Mara. And he felt just so horrible. And just shortly thereafter, he began to weep, and Money apparently sat him down and said, no, it's all right, you did it out of, you didn't mean to, and,
Yeah, he never
and he didn't actually touch her skin
It's
either.
different. What
he
goes on
just
here is
touched
so
her sleeve,
important.
I guess. But I mean, I think he just kind of like, wow.
Well, Baba would
It
not
wasn't
have
really
wanted him to
disobedience
drop
in
her.
that sense.
I mean, Baba wouldn't want her to fall.
Yeah, he would. He wouldn't want you to do that. I mean, it was Baba's order not to touch her, and that meant, even if it meant that
If it's
she
an
was,
order.
even if she was drowning, you weren't supposed to touch her, and you'd have to assume that Baba would take care of that, I guess.
Well, I did hear a story, though, from Greg Butler, one visit to India where Yvonne Mehra was still alive. And I don't remember the details now, but some guy touched her. I don't know exactly how it happened now, but the moment it happened, Mehra just did not even blink. She just said, Baba forgives you. And other people were all shocked, but because she just said that to him, it just like...
dissipated.
It just totally dissipated
Wow.
for him.
Yeah.
So it's like it may have been just an accident too, but her response was just so immediate that no matter how everybody else felt.
It's beautiful.
So I'm sure that must have happened,
But these various measures that Baba took in the Manzali movement and also in these early years in the 20s are beyond our own, whatever judgment or understanding. He knew what he was doing, and all these things I guess, have been chronicled by somebody. These are from Ramjo, aren't they?
No, some of them.
The diary of these events occurring, Chanji, and because Lord Meher has opened my eyes in a way that I never knew.
Chanji appears on the scene when? 1924 or
something like that.
It was 24. He wasn't one of Baba's
the secretary.
school friends, right?
No. He's he met him on the beach where Chanji wanted
he was
to commit
getting ready to
Got it,
commit
Chanji.
suicide because
his
his
wife
wife
had gone off with his partner in the cinema, and his partner had robbed him and taken his wife, and he had nothing. And
then just 20 years later, he was, got typhoid and died.
Chanji?
Yeah, because he died in 44.
Was it?
Yeah.
What's this amazing?
And then Srinagar.
This story itself reminds me of the epic Mahabharata. In Baba's life itself, we're living in the Mahabharata ourselves. Baba is like Krishna, and
Or the New Testament.
The battle of Kurukshetra, the Pandavas and the Kauravas. We're also part of that, and the world itself is a stage, but it's a very real contemporary experience. And like Baba said, don't try to pretend that God is here or there. It's happening, and He was here. And so these things that are going on are part of the drama, and it's not putting things into this holier-than-thou place or whatever else. It's a real living, organic thing. Meher Baba's Advent. He was totally real. In other words, with his discipline in the people, with his with his praising, with his loving and care. You see what I'm saying? It's
he's more real now.
Yeah, it's a family. It's like
when Baba dropped his body, it was more real for me.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, if you put this in a position, how can he be such a spiritual person to do those things, tie somebody up or whatever? But it's a real experience. It's really happening.
The Mandali really liked that side of Baba. I know Katie and Mehru both said they enjoyed that. When Baba was so fiery.
Oh yes, I heard that too.
When he got angry, they loved that.
Back in the early days, Baba said that there's, a reason for that. There's either a universal reason or that particular person he was pulling a lot of, past and scars and things.
Exactly.
And it was a boon to be.
Oh, definitely.
slapped
Threw
by
that guy
Baba.
down the stairs?
Well, that's right. Well, that was in Manzali Meme.
Yeah.
He pushed.
He didn't push, he threw him.
He threw him.
Again, Chanji was hit many, many times by Baba and was constantly being harassed and told, you know, to be worthless and all that stuff.
Wasn't Chanji his boyhood friend?
No.
It was Gunny. Yeah.
Val likes to
But
say how much.
Chanji was his shadow side.
No, that was Gustav.
No, Gustaji was his
Oh,
shadow.
who was
He took
Chanji?
silence.
Chanji was the secretary.
He was a secretary.
So Gustaji represented Baba's
Dark side.
dark
Dark
side.
side, yeah.
Baba has said a few things like that Adi was his wife when he was the famous warrior.
Shivaji?
Shivaji.
I thought Shivaji was celibate.
With who?
No, I don't think so.
No, he's supposed to.
Geez, now that lifetime, let's see.
She only said wife.
Oh, it could have been a celibate marriage.
He said Adi
Could have been a
was
celibate
It
marriage.
was that's the incarnation, but Adi K,
That's what he wanted.
Freddie, Freddie, I hadn't heard this before.
I didn't hear you.
Adi K was
Shivaji's wife.
He said Behram was his arch enemy. He was the one he was fighting.
like the
It's somewhere in.
Behram, his brother,
Brother was his
arch enemy.
arch
I
enemy.
met Behram in 71, 72.
When Baba was
Tall,
still
dark.
When he was Shivaji.
really.
It's somewhere in.
I would have loved to question Adi over a Coca-Cola.
You wouldn't remember though.
Adi was so wonderful. We'd go to Sarosha's canteen. He says, "Let's go have a Coca-Cola." And we sit there, and he would just love drinking that. And we talk about things.
No, 7-Up.
Scotch.
Yeah, he called it was a thumbs up, but he called it a Coca-Cola. Oh, he loved his Chavez Regal. He says, "I don't drink, I just take Chavez Regal. That's not drinking." He said, "That's beyond drinking, that's nectar, you know." Like, I'd bring him Remy Martin. And I would remember Adi, I don't know if you guys were at the trust office ever in the early 70s. Adi would be in that room, you know, where the trust office is. There's a room adjoining it. He had his bed in there, that's where he slept. And he would be covered with a blanket, a sheet. And he would be there sitting there for a long time.
He would be sitting or lying, Fred?
No, he'd be sitting for a period of time.
With a sheet over himself?
Right. I don't know if he was just trying to block out the light.
Probably he saw you coming in.
He may have wanted to meditate, mosquito-free meditation.
True.
You know, there's a Studs Turkle program.
What?
Studs Turkle. Do you remember Studs?
Studs Turkle, yes.
He was interviewed by Studs Turkle.
Adi was?
Adi was.
Really?
Yeah, in Chicago.
He was?
Yep.
So that's on tape someplace.
It's on tape, yeah.
Oh, that would be great.
Studs wouldn't release it because he said, if I release this, he was interviewing my father, and my father invited Adi to come on, and Studs accepted, but Studs said he couldn't release it because then every religious person would then come to Studs and then say, well, you gave it to Meher Baba's disciple, how about to us? So there is a tape.
Oh, that would be great.
Wow.
We should really get that because it's a really good quality. And we were there, you know.
There was the thing that Baba that always struck me about that Baba said about Adi. He likened Adi to a pumpkin with a candle inside. You know, and the candle. I mean, he was empty, but he had that light, the light of God, you know, inside of him, and that all the rest of it was just, you know, I mean. All the scars and everything had been. At least that's the way I interpret.
Yeah, no, Baba also he did say that he hollows people out from the inside, and that's why you always have this personality that may seem, you know, crusty or irascible or whatever on the outside, which I always thought was so great because it's like when you look at some, you know, religions or spiritual disciplines, you know, it requires all this sanctimonious stuff on the outside, and that gets kind of dull, you know, but it's nice that, you know.
And I think Baba said this during that time when he was, you know, treating Adi really badly.
Oh, yeah. There was a period of Adi's life where he was just like
He
ignored.
didn't even
He
see
was
him.
ignored.
He didn't even
Baba
see
totally ignored him for how many years?
I think it was the last 4 years of Baba's life, Adi didn't even see Baba.
Right, and I remember Adi saying how much he was so pained.
Well, Baba would
But
call
also,
him.
Adi said that he felt that Baba, one of the reasons he did that is because after Baba dropped the body, it was Adi who everybody turned to, because Adi was a little more detached than everybody else. So Adi was able to then step in and and he became chairman of the trust, and he, kind of stepped in and took care of.
I heard that from my details. Meanwhile, I have to get going.
Okay, Jeff.
Jay Baba.
Happy birthday.
Thank you for being such a great host for
Thank
those
you, my love,
days.
to Lynn.
I don't know how you did it. How many people did you have?
You know what, I'm going to leave the cake here, and everybody help yourselves and take some home
Yeah,
or
take
whatever,
some home,
and then
because-
you can just leave it here, and Lynn can get it Wednesday.
How many people did you host there?
Good night, Mary.
Good night, Jay Baba.
See you Saturday.
What a wonderful
Yes, see you.
Plus, the 20th.
What is Saturday?
This is crazy. Like, Saturday we left
I heard you're making an eggs one morning.
I have a carved for John and Dolly.
at midnight, and then Saturday night we were barbecuing chicken. at
Is that
midnight.
why they're so heavy?
You were barbecuing chicken on your outside thing?
At midnight.
The neighbors must have smelled
And then they sit outside and have their cigarettes. Baba told me they have 5 cigarettes.
Can you have
Baba told me,
ordinary cigarettes?
yeah, they're not allowed to drink, gamble, or womanize, but they can have 5 cigarettes a day. So right at midnight they go outside and they sit there in their lungis, those things that they wrap around themselves, and they're all bundled up, and they sit there on either side of the table. They look like, these bookends.
Yeah.
Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
We ought to have a meeting.
They have 2 cigarettes at night,
Yeah.
and then they go to bed around 2 in the morning, and then at 7:30 they get up and you can hear them singing and saying their prayers, but one at a time, because one of them uses the bathroom while the other one says the prayers, because they've adapted this style so that they don't tie up the only bathroom they have at home, right? So then they switch places, so the prayer's in the bathroom. Then they go down, they have cheese and crackers for breakfast. And then they do their morning business. Oh, they do that before they have their cheese and crackers. Then they go have another one after their cheese and crackers. I thought you'd be interested. In
Oh,
I
man.
like that.
And
Wow, those are my
then-
kind of people.
Then they want to get going. Then it's like, well, what are we doing today? We have to, they can't just sit still. And then at around 1, they have a big meal. Then they like to take a nap, although we were too busy oftentimes to take naps. And then they have like a little snack at 5, but they aren't really hungry until 11 or 12, and that's when they eat.
God dang.
So we're all a little tired.
So they're almost like on a backward reverse schedule. Like in India, do they do the same thing? They eat late in India
I said to
too.
Mary Rose, I said, did these guys, how did you deal with this when you were like a kid? She goes, oh, my mother would put us to bed. We would never stay up with them. We'd always eat at 6 or 7 like normal people. And then
geez.
the 2 of them would come in from closing their shop and they would eat. And
So they're
also, when they had the video shop, they would always get videos sent to them that they would have to decide how many to order and stuff. So they would watch videos from midnight till 2:30 after they'd had their cigarettes.
But tell me, how do they earn their living now?
They have a shop. They have a
Yeah.
shop where they sell
Gift shop?
cards.
They still?
The video shop got the explanation I heard was that that there was some chain came in and kind of.
Like cheap or auto parts?
Made it difficult to, that too, the cable TV is cut into the business, but also I think there was some.
competition was too overwhelming.
But there was something a little shady also. When they ended up going to court.
Adele,
It
Chibbo.
was kind of like
Oh, you're going?
I think they may have received
something like that.
tapes
Yeah.
that weren't legal.
I think somebody may have paid off somebody else to close them down or something like that. I don't know.
Did they ever indicate what they might have been in their last life to be this close? Were they married previously or
They
something?
told me that they were
What was it?
they were your grandparents.
They were what?
They said they were Adele's grandparents in the past life. That's why they're so blessed.
No, they never told you.
No,
They
no.
never could. I imagine.
But I must say, because I hadn't spent that much
It
time
seems
with
to
them
me twins
before
would
this.
always have a lot of lifetimes.
Yeah, I know Lynn and Terry have. But I hadn't spent that much time with them or anything like that. But I have to say, the thing that amazed me, they have a great sense of humor. They love to tell dirty jokes, but I never heard them come close to doing anything that would have displeased Baba. There was no backbiting, which I was disappointed in. I was hoping to get all the dirt. There was no real gossiping or anything like that. They make fun of each other all the time in Gujarati, and their kids, Mayor Rose and Mayor Dill, cracked up constantly. And I'd say, what are they talking about? And it would be that Rustam was looking at the back of Sohrab's head and singing about him being a cue ball because he was going down. He was singing in Gujarati, and then Rustam would sit there and just kind of listen and go like this. I mean, Sohrab would listen and go like this, and then he would mutter something under his breath in Gujarati, and I'd say, and the kids would start laughing. I said, what did he say? He says, if you want to criticize me, just go look in a mirror.
If Rustam had to do the talking rather than Sohrab, do you suppose he could?
I think so. Actually, Rustam tends to be a little looser and a little goofier. Like Rustam had this picture there on Hollywood Boulevard. They love Hollywood Boulevard. And on Hollywood Boulevard, you can have a picture of the Three Stooges, and it's Moe and Larry, and they're extracting one of Curly's teeth with a pair of pliers. And Rustam, and what the computer thing where you can get it's like $25 or something, but you can get your face stuck in there for Curly's face. So Rustam comes home. I didn't go with him on that day. I was exhausted. But Rustam comes home and says, hey, look at this picture of the Three Stooges. And it was this beautiful color photo. And I'm looking at him going, oh, wow. Then I'm looking at Curly and I'm thinking, that's not Curly. Is that Shemp or who is that? Then I realized it's Rustam's face.
Oh no!
Like Rustam going.
Oh no!
It was like
Jim, I want to sing the song the last time with the bucket.
Holding a bucket.
I love that.
What's that? What's that from? Is that from a play?
Harry Belafonte.
Is that Harry Belafonte?
Yeah.
But it's an old
song.
It was a hit, but
Henrietta. Oh, is it?
Don't you remember?
But that song goes back like 100 years.
Oh, that goes back to the.
I remember them doing it back then.
A hole in the bucket? Well, what should we do with the hole in the bucket?
Do you remember it? Oh, you're probably too little.
What's the name of the woman?
60s. There's a hole in the
What's the name of the woman? Henrietta?
Yeah, that's
No,
very good song.
Henrietta?
No, it's Henry and...
It's very funny.
Eliza.
Oh, Liza and
to see
Henry.
them do it, though, and the expressions on their faces.
And they should do a good thing on Tony Griss.
Oh, man!
Oh, doctor! My blood's coming out of my stool.
They did all that. They did all that up at Meherabad.
Did they?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
They did the thing on Gris.
Tony, they have
sort of a standard.
but they have it down pat. I mean, that's Tony.
They got Tony.
Oh, man!
Yeah, infinite Gris.
But you know, the story of Rustam and Sohrab, you know the story. I mean, it's, you know the...
About the one girl?
In Iran, the story, it's...
Oh, yeah.
I used to read that story every single day.
Beautiful story.
It was the most powerful story as a kid that I'd ever come across. So I would read it, and it had such a tragic ending. Mm-hmm. So when I met them, this is when I drove Terry cross country, and I came to LA, and there they were. And I hadn't even heard their names. And so when I met them, I said, Rustam, Sohrab, you know this story? They said, yes, we know this. I said, that was my favorite story as a kid. And so to see them together, it's like Baba's gift. You know what I mean? It's like to see them together as twins and to have a happy life. Mm-hmm. The story is the most profound. I mean, it's like high tragedy.
One of them gets killed.
The father kills the son, and they don't know. They don't know, and the son is dying, and then he says, you should run and hide because you have killed the son of Rustam. Yeah. And the father realizes that it was his son that he had slain. And he covered his head with dirt and cried. I mean, he just was devastated that... So to see them together as twins,
they live together.
Yeah,
they're very close.
With their families, they live in the same house.
Yeah, and they work together. They never.
How many kids do they have?
Two each.
Yeah. Sohrab has
how old is
two
this?
girls, and Rustam has a girl and a boy.
How old is this boy?
25.
Very good boy was he. Very good boy. Very classy boy.
Yeah, he's a good kid. Good guy.
And you took him to Clint Eastwood's production.
Well, he has a video production company. He and Jamshed Irani, Dara and Amrit's son Jamshed, they have this company in Pune. And Meredil does animation, computer animation. They do computer games, like the game Myst.
Right.
They made up a game like that, which they're trying to market and stuff. But it was an experience, I tell you. Anyway, we're all exhausted.
Thank you for coming and thank Lynn for the
Thank you.
Happy birthday.
Thank you, Jeff.
Jai
Baba.
Thanks again for the cake.
Jeff, you lost not a game. Jeff, bye.
Thanks for coming.
You lost not a game.
I'm playing hockey a lot. I think maybe that has something to do with it. I'm getting a lot of exercise.
It's amazing he lost weight with the twins. Eating at midnight.
I'm sure you did.
Barbecue chicken at midnight. Can you imagine those?
Barbecue chicken.
They cook barbecue chicken, and the smell, can you imagine, wafted through the neighborhood.
Oh, wow.
And people said, "Excuse me, am I smelling barbecue?"
It's my dream.
Actually, I think you probably called the Disturbing the Peace on that.
No.
They probably want to join them.
I mean, could you?
They probably want to join
Well,
them.
somebody might have said, well,
Disturbing
your
the
house on
senses.
But I'm saying sound. I'm saying sound is after 10 p.m. is disturbance or whatever, 11 p.m.
Smell.
But smell. I wonder if somebody could get you on that. Just kidding.
They come and join you. They take you in. Can we have some?
I can't sleep. I'm smelling this delicious
That's
chicken.
delicious.
Freddie, how much shall I read a few paragraphs and then pass it around?
Yeah.
And call it that?
What time do you usually wrap?
It's,
Well, we usually wrap a little after 9.
it's 10 to 9. Okay.
Yeah. We'll go around and let everybody get a chance to
Alrighty.
read a bit.
Okay. Later, Kustaji commented that Naja was chastised unnecessarily. Baba did not appreciate his remark and explained, "I chastise no one. What appears to be punishment is really prasad. Naja received my prasad today. Were it not so, Sailor would not have told the truth." If they have an asterisk, where do you look? It doesn't have a page
It's in the
number.
back. It's the last 3 pages of the book. It's the footnotes, and it's by the page number.
Okay, I haven't done this in
It's
a while. So.
something.
Baba had once said about his friend Kodu, because of Sailor's good deeds in past births and services to God, even if he committed 7 murders, he would be forgiven.
Wow.
Who is this?
Sailor.
Sailor.
Because of his past deeds and previous births, even if he would commit 7 murders, he would be forgiven.
Maybe OJ was the same.
That's such a...
Maybe
OJ was the same.
I don't think so.
Okay, yeah.
Divine law.
It's going to go down in
Divine
history.
law. Karma is so absolute. There's no question that there is, a divine law. The result of the accumulation of karma. I mean, we forget that.
Oh, I know.
Well, I mean, there's some beautiful things
Everything
tonight.
goodness we forget, I
The
don't know.
color of that
Right?
scars is the way you address somebody,
Yeah.
the way you communicate, and then this amazing, yes.
Yeah.
This is great. This stuff is so...
I love it, yeah. Baba scolded another of the mandali that same day, but the man spoke back to him instead of keeping quiet. This caused Baba to explain to all the mandali, "Why do you get angry so often? You frequently break my orders. Then if I have anything to say about it, you get annoyed. Thereby your attitude adds to my burden. One's degree of connection with a perfect master in past lives makes one eligible for the master's circle, whether he is willing or unwilling to obey. But to ease the master's burden, one should follow his orders. By your wrong attitude, you add to the master's troubles. Suppose I want
That's so, you can't just skip over that. That is so central. If we thought just of that just all evening, we'd be really on target. What does it say? Read that. If you add to the master's trouble.
Okay, it
what?
says, okay. Thereby your attitude adds to my burden.
Adds to my burden.
Yes.
Your attitude adds to my burden. Then what?
One's degree of connection with a perfect master in past lives makes one eligible for the master's circle, whether he is willing or unwilling to obey. But to ease the master's burden, one should follow his orders. By your wrong attitude, you add to the master's troubles.
And to ease the master's burden, you should follow his orders.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I think that's enough a guiding line for all of life. I mean, that's the essence of the crucifixion.
Troubles, things that
I mean,
are
that's
heavy
what
weighing.
Christ is all about.
Probably if you
I mean, the
didn't
fact
someone
that-
wish you happy birthday.
That he is crucified every minute. That he is crucified every minute. How could we help that? I mean, that's the difference between Saint Teresa,
Yes.
this lady who just died,
Yes.
Mother Teresa.
Mother Teresa,
Yeah.
and Diana. I mean, it's a world of difference, my dear. A world of difference.
But in the illusion, what people could respond to as in mass is Princess Di.
What?
I said, but in the illusion, what people could respond to in mass was Princess Di.
That's so interesting.
Which was Baba's way
That is-
of loosening some chains in the
Yeah.
hearts
No,
of
but
millions of
I'm
people.
not critical of her. She's
No,
very
I'm not, but I'm saying, isn't it
beautiful from a
interesting how Baba
worldly
used that?
standpoint. Yeah.
I think it was because it was a
But-
tragedy.
Yes.
You know, I
But-
think that's
but
really what.
the beauty of Mother Teresa is that
But it
she
was
never
because it
she
was
wanted
tragic.
to
No,
ease the master's burden. She wanted to ease the master's burden by
Right.
feeding, by doing what she did. This is.
Yes.
I mean, I don't see how they could question her saintliness. You know, they're debating, is she a saint or not?
I don't think she cares.
Oh, she couldn't care less.
She doesn't care about the world's rules.
But that's what I mean by true. I mean, if every Christian were a Christian, they would want to ease the master's burden. And then, you know what I mean?
And when it's very easy by the right attitude.
Right
like
attitude.
in the new life, like Baba,
Right attitude.
you know, don't show, you don't be weepy, don't
What
be,
is
don't
the
have,
right
don't
attitude?
be have
Nobody knows.
moods.
Did I know the right attitude before I came to Baba? Absolutely not.
I know.
Did you know the right attitude before you came to Baba?
Well, geez, I'm working
Did
on
you
it.
know the right
No,
attitude?
but I'm working on it.
I knew nothing about the right attitude.
Over,
My attitude.
over and over again.
Like this lady on yesterday on the television. The American dream, that's my attitude. What's the American dream, she's asked? Oh, to make more money, and so I sell pornography.
Whoa.
No kidding, that was on television.
Wow.
They interviewed her for a good half hour. She's 2 degrees from the colleges. She decided that she wants to live the American dream, make more money, because he's asking her, so how come you sell pornography? Well, I make more money that way. I don't participate in it,
Wow.
but I sell it. I mean, I was going to call up that station. I thought, this is the American dream.
Yeah, the dream
I mean,
gone
that's
skewer.
really, I mean, really, I couldn't believe it.
You know
That's,
what?
No, that's
It's hard to
Maya.
maintain the right attitude in the density of the world and the experiences that come flying at you. It really is quite
the what?
a challenge to keep the right attitude with it, you know, while you're facing the challenges of emotional obstacles,
Yeah.
you know, all kinds of things that, particularly ones that push all your buttons, and to have the right attitude and always be,
Yeah, well,
you know,
that's
it's
very
quite a
good.
challenge.
Wasn't it somebody said that Baba said, or somebody, and I remember Henry Kashadi said this once, and he was talking about Baba said that all is God's will. The only thing you can do is change your attitude to help Him. But in other words, everything else is your karma, which is the will of God and so forth. And so the harmony, you know, I mean, to express harmony is through attitude. He says, express harmony, and that's the only thing really you can do when you interface with others.
Yes.
Because other than that, it's all God's will.
Well, you know,
I don't understand the Lord's Prayer from that angle. Because if all of it's God's will, why don't we say in the Lord's Prayer, Thy will be done? Shouldn't it be Thy wish be done? Or, you know, Thy pleasure be done? Or
His
something
will
like that?
will be done.
Well, it's
Yeah, His will be done.
Thy is
Yeah.
His.
Thy will. That's Lord's will.
It means it's going to happen. You know?
Yeah, on earth as it is in heaven.
Right. And that's why, have you seen those new buttons, What is it? The meek shall inherit the earth? So these buttons are people wearing, the meek are getting ready.
I missed that.
Tell Mark's got a good joke. Tell him.
That's true. It's
Oh,
true.
but is it true? They have
Mark said there's a button out. Tell.
Well, because Jesus said the meek shall inherit it. This is when they say that thy will be done, when the meek inherit the earth. So there's some people wearing buttons that say the meek are getting ready.
In the 60s, they had a button that said, the meek will inherit the earth, and in the bottom of the button it says, the meek don't want it.
Right. Well, I find it's a challenge in non-entertainment arenas where people are so attached to their positions. I mean, they are in that place, in entertainment too, but I've been experiencing how people are so attached to their positions and in equating that with their own reality and their own power, and it's so out of balance, and yet I've learned acceptance. Do you know what I'm saying? Accepting that of that. And the other thing is Baba's joy comes through wherever he places us. So everybody's all touched with that, but it's very interesting just in environments how people need to play on that hierarchy. It's you just can observe it.
Well, it's not only people; it's you and I. The only reason you know about it so well because you have the same tendency.
Well, yeah, but
I do too.
But Adele,
and so does everybody. You go through it, but it's amazing that they stay there.
Well, that's it, of course.
We all know it because it takes one to know one.
Well, it takes somebody. It takes somebody with consciousness
but the fact is
to
that
observe.
you have to get out of
Adele, it takes someone with consciousness. Of course, it's going on, but it takes consciousness to observe.
It takes
and to understand.
It takes hitting bottom.
Yeah, that's true. But I'm surprised because this is like these last two jobs I've had. It's unusual to me to see so much of this. I've learned a great deal about it, and a great deal about myself. But it's.
I agree with.
It's universal,
Debbie, because I think it's very important. Fred and I are going, and maybe it is hitting bottom, but all of a sudden you get to that point where you say, what is your aim in life? You question a lot of different things because you sometimes get so ensconced in position or whatever you're into that when you're not there, it's like an identity being taken away from you. And then you have to start over again. But you have to say what is real and what isn't real.
Right.
And what do you really want out of life? And is that really what you want out of life?
Right.
And so